have kits and components and tools for intervention. They have a strong ELL component. They have a strong digital component. And given some of the needs that I've observed in terms of our faculty, that's why I'm really comfortable recommending a comprehensive program citywide. That's why, you know, core knowledge, as good as some of that primary text, that primary series is, doesn't have some of those elements right now that are fully developed. And so that is why now that doesn't mean that if a school pilots, let's say if a school submits a proposal to want to pilot core knowledge, I might look at some of the areas, some of the, what I believe may be some of the not so stronger points, and okay, how are you going to address intervention, let's say as an example, or how are you going to address, so these are the, I've got to put this process together to actually be able to make the kinds of decisions to support the schools if they want to move in that direction. But it was the comprehensive nature of Journeys that wanted me to recommend it as citywide. As where we stand now, with schools all having done all kinds of different things and different models, we need to get on the same page here.
Right. So it has the ELL piece and it has the intervention piece as well. That's very critical. It's very critical. So the schools that perhaps would be considered are ones that do not have children that need early intervention. Is it
No.
English language learners that does it have an English language learners piece? The core knowledge K, the pre-K to 2?
There isn't, as far as I'm aware right now, there isn't exclusively a piece for English language learners I'm aware of. There is?
No, I believe you're correct.
There is not.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the kinds of issues that I would need to know. I would want to make sure that if a school submitted a proposal that, and if I know for a fact that they've got, because all of our schools have students who at some level unfortunately require intervention, or who have English language learner needs, I want to make sure that what is in that proposal would be able to speak to that and address how they plan to address those needs.
Okay, because if they have children that require these resources, they're there, would they be taken out of the school and put somewhere else?
No, that would not be the case.
The percentage of children, maybe more.
Every teacher across the system is going to be trained in understanding the intervention process, strategies and skills. Then we would need to make sure that they have resources that they can choose and use with the particular program.
So then why not use Journey for the entire district? Because it seems it's an excellent, from what you've presented, from what I've seen, from what I've heard.
Because I also was very, very impressed, if you will, with the year one data of core knowledge. Also, it may even have a more superior way of the way in which it was constructed and the content and the knowledge that it builds, as well as the strong foundation strand, yielded good results. And what it indicated in schools where it's been used, students coming in new demonstrated the greatest gain right away. But it was even students who were in the program over time all demonstrated results that were significantly better than others. So it was both an overtime gain. So my understanding, and really listening to one of the individuals who was one of the core developers there, I'm very particularly impressed. Now, we also relied on information from an organization called Student Achievement Partners, which has written research. They've done, that's the same organization that developed the criteria that's being used for the selection of publishers and publisher materials. And core knowledge it ranks among the top. The kinds of expectations that they have for students are defined what they call in this stretch lexile, meaning that there are higher expectations for the performance of students. And when you analyze the actual literature that they've produced. So I selected it, and I'm recommending it, because I think it's a good program. And I don't think it's, from what I've read it's a good program to use. The research that I've looked at, it's a good program to use. And I'm also familiar with schools personally, from my prior experience that have used CKLA, schools in Washington, D.C. And they have performed very well. So it's a program that I just happen to also believe that Journeys as a citywide comprehensive program is good for the city, but I didn't want to close the door. I wanted us to pilot, I want us to pilot CKLA and give that opportunity to 1 or 2 schools. And then let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Let's see what we can learn from some of these other folks.
Okay, one last question. So what piece makes it a smooth transitioning from second grade to third grade journey? What is the piece that it has that core knowledge has that makes it easy to transition over to ELD?
Well, part of the problem is that core knowledge isn't fully developed at 3 through 5. They are in the process of developing it now. But the 3 through 5 strand of whether it's in Journeys or would it be in expeditionary learning, that's where you're moving from the foundational skill set, even though those foundational skills are still reinforced, into comprehension, into vocabulary development, into writing, speaking, listening, which is also reinforced in the earlier grades. But in that particular case, it's an easy it's a transition that can be facilitated. It could be facilitated into expeditionary learning, but into Journeys as well, because the foundational components tend to be somewhat similar with the reading programs at grades K2. It's all about decoding, and in the core knowledge case, it's about building language and content as well, as though Pearson does that well too. I mean, Journeys does that well too. That's the...
Any other questions, Ms. Mosby?
I just wanted to say